of our pilot projects, which I'm really excited about because, as Lord Best has said, there's a whole lot of talk, there's a whole lot of action that's been going on and is still going on, a lot of noise all over the place. So what we were keen to do with ISO was to identify some practitioners that were willing to do something, that were willing to actually work towards defining what best practice is and to evaluate at the same time. So we've been looking at combinations of developers, universities, research, etc. And we're going to start off live, in fact, from Australia with Anne Livingston, who's the Director of Research and Projects for the Global Community Resourcing. I'm not going to explain to you what she does and what they do. I love this project. It's early days, but I will turn over to Anne and we'll take it from there. Thank you.
Thanks, Ian, for that introduction and for the invitation to be involved in today's important event. I'm going to concentrate on talking about what multi-generational living means for communities in more isolated areas of Australia. Firstly, a little bit about the group I work for. Global Community Resourcing is a multi-award winning Australian organisation. Points of difference, I guess, are that we work internationally and nationally, and we have done so and it's been established for over a decade. We've got a long demonstrated knowledge, particularly of understanding of aged and community care settings and the role that innovation is going to play in the future of people being able to really maintain in their own communities. Our areas of interest are particularly those around innovation, where it relates to digital health and care, but also where it relates to just enhanced good living and lifestyles, and the role that new workforces will play in supporting particularly vulnerable populations within these communities, and particularly those roles that new and emerging technology will play in transforming business models and communities. I've been lucky to be involved in the ISO TC314 work over many years now, and I convene the TC314 communications group. I've been active in the aged and dementia-friendly agenda along with the workforce and the carer inclusive agendas. I'm particularly interested in what those agendas will play out from a standardisation point of view in terms of those communities that are more remote and isolated, and particularly where new and emerging technologies are going to play a significant role in promoting independent living and promoting the opportunity for people to live and work and grow and have interactions with communities, particularly the role that assistive technology might play in that, and particularly emerging models of care might play in promoting that more sustainable living. But the area we're going to concentrate on in today's presentation is the island communities in Australia. We've been working on this agenda for some time. People in the audience may be aware that there's some 8,222 islands in Australia. Of those, about 500 are inhabited to some level of scale, and particularly the issues of health and community care and built environment are big issues for these communities where people want to live, age and live out their time in these communities. It is really a focus in this presentation that we're looking at the island communities in southeast Queensland, for those who know that's northern state, and the island communities particularly of the Southern Moreton Bay Island group. These islands have significant issues of ageing and disability. There is a committed partnership with these communities to try to tackle some of the community issues that go from natural disasters to water shortage to crime and safety, and just to ensuring that people can live socially integrated in these communities. The real focus has been on how the community can support themselves, and multi-generational living is really a solution to this. In this area, there's been a significant commitment to this agenda. A range of projects in this area have also included projects looking at special needs groups within the population, and particularly the role that multi-generational living will provide to these groups. In the particular areas we're speaking of at the moment, we've been looking at particular interest groups of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander and Forgotten Australians or care leavers, those estimated 500,000 Australians who as children through the 50s, 60s, 70s and 80s as a result of social and welfare policies of the time were in institutional care as children. And it's with those special needs groups in these isolated areas that we also put the focus on innovation and technology and the role that that's going to play in smart living, in smart communities, and allowing people to live more independently. We're focused on the adoption of leading edge technologies, but also currently working on co-designing those technologies in these communities. And in particular, we've been doing for the last 5 years a range of work looking at the role that smart housing and smart homes, as well as specialist technologies like drones and more adequate communication platforms through communities will provide. We've been doing this in the context of co-design, and I believe that this is an important aspect of the work going forward. Our work in these projects are in partnership with several other entities, and on the board here are just some of them. Our state and local government structures, many service providers in those areas, regional development, as well as special research groups such as the Digital Health Cooperative Research Centre and particular universities like Swinburne University. It's with that we see that there's a real opportunity to be involved in this multi-generational neighbourhood strategy and to particularly develop up standards and a standardised approach. We're very keen to be involved in this opportunity as we see it's at the leading edge of being able to define best practice and bring that, our experience in quite a unique setting in an isolated communities into the other pilot projects that Ian's going to showcase during this, further in this presentation. But we see that really multi-generational communities and neighbourhoods provide real opportunities to provide enhanced well-being and social care for individuals, and to address some of the issues for ageing societies, particularly where new tech-enhanced smart built environments are going to assist. So we're looking forward to collaborating with Ian, Nell and others on this way forward of this standardisation and the development of a unique approach to multi-generational communities. Thanks, Ian, for this opportunity, and I'm very happy to stay on board and take any questions. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you very much. And that is a definite counterpoint to what's going on in the UK. And I was particularly interested in what you were talking about vis-a-vis getting Indigenous people on board, because at the end of the day, we are talking about inclusion, and it's not just inclusion here on a local basis. We will take one independent question at this point, and then, if you don't mind, have you as part of the response once we've seen the next pilot, which is coming up right away. So Nell, would you put your hand in the hat and pull out the question for me? Can I put you on the spot for that?
I haven't seen any. I think Anne-Marie is
Ah,
looking at that.
who?
Isn't
Anne-Marie.
Anne-Marie looking?
All right, thank you. Anne-Marie, could you pull a question, please? Okay, I'll do it. There's a question here which sounds like, this sounds like a great project for Australia to showcase, but is it applicable to other countries? Anne, can you hear me, Anne?
Ian, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, look, I think it is. We're collaborating already with a number of countries with same sorts of issues. Tonight I've just concentrated on the isolated communities and the projects we're doing on island communities, but equally there's rural and remote communities, mainland, that have significant issues. And I think there is applicability globally, and we know that already from the collaborations that we've got with colleagues around the world.
So in terms of that collaboration, given that we are the other side of the world really, but equally during this very disconnected period in everybody's lives, do you envisage that it will change the way that you actually go about working, that you will be able to create these kind of connections to do things collaboratively? I know we've spoken at length about how this might work, and frankly today is as much about working out how we're going to do this with the different partners and furthering that dialogue. But I'm just interested in, you know, the appetite for this and how practical you think it will be in the real world.
Look, we've got a collaboration already in place, Ian. The members that we've canvassed already are very interested and involved. Some of those are on 9:30, 10:30 at night. So that sort of indicates our level of dedication to be involved. But having been involved in the development of TC314 under Nell's fabulous direction, and prior to that, the IWA 18 that you referred to earlier, or that Nathan referred to earlier, it's an important body of work that standardisation brings to the table for, I guess, people like me who are practitioners and my colleagues who are out there doing work in communities trying to make a significant difference in those communities. So I think the commitment's there to benchmark our work also in the terms of standardisation, but also in terms of how we can take our lessons forward. And every project, every approach has lessons learned and problems experienced. And I think that they're the things that bring richness to standards development, and that's what we're hoping to bring to the table.
Thank you very much. We have a little bit of lag on the broadband there, but we are making it work, and we can't get much further away than Australia. And I do appreciate you staying up to do this, and hope that you will stay with us for the next session, because we want to talk about that collaboration as we move forward. You've probably heard a few acronyms. The technical committees within the ISO project all have their own codes. I'm not going to use any of them. So technical committee and aging societies is about what you'll get, but some people who are actively involved will be talking and giving you these references. And if you want to, you can look them up as well. But for the time being, we'll stick to the basics. We're going to turn to